Welcome, everybody. I'm not going to give a spooky intro this time. I'm officially retiring that bit.
You could do like a Dolemite intro if you want.
All right, I'm going to do Dolemite style intro.
Yeah, I would. Okay, go ahead. I'm excited.
This Mega64 movie club. Rub-a-dub-dub.
Bring it on home now.
Streaming it online.
Yeah.
Uploading it online.
You didn't say motherfucker at all.
Motherfucker.
Dolemite. Today we're reviewing the 1975 cult classic blaxploitation film Dolemite. This is a movie that I selected for us to watch today. I have never seen Dolemite before.
No, neither did I.
I don't think any of us have.
No. I never heard of it before.
I'd heard of it.
I had heard of it here and there.
Yeah.
Because rappers like Snoop Dogg would reference Dolemite in their songs, or other comedians would reference Dolemite. Snoop Dogg has the classic line, "Copping a grip like Dolemite," and now I know what that means because I've seen Dolemite cop a grip, and it's something nasty.
I had never heard of it until, just recently. There was a movie, new movie, Dolemite
Is my name.
Dolemite. Oh, I thought it was Dolemite Strikes Back. It's Dolemite Is My Name. Okay.
Yeah.
And that got good reviews, so I was just like, oh, what's this?
I'll talk about that later. I started watching that today. I haven't finished it yet.
Oh, really?
Because I saw this, and like, well, now I got to see this thing.
You got to see where it goes.
I had to see what
Dolemite Is My Name is an Eddie Murphy movie from 2019 about the making of this film, and Eddie Murphy was nominated for a Golden Globe, and apparently this is like 8 out of 10 on IMDb, like Eddie Murphy's big return.
I'm half hour into it. Eddie Murphy rules in this movie so far. Snoop Dogg is great in this movie.
Oh, I didn't know
Craig
he was
Robinson is great in this movie. I mean, I'm only half hour in.
But we're not talking about My Name Is Dolemite.
I'm sorry.
We are talking about the original 1975 film Dolemite, starring Rudy Ray Moore as the fast-talking, ass-kicking, woman-loving pimp known as Dolemite. Why don't you guys go ahead and just give your opinions on this movie and tell us what you thought about it?
Yeah. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say.
Well, sorry. Let me say why I selected this movie. And you can think about what your opinion is.
Yeah.
Like I said, I had always heard about Dolemite here and there, and then recently I saw a different movie starring Rudy Ray Moore where he plays like the son of the devil or the son-in-law of the devil, and he like goes. It's a crazy movie, but then they were like, from the man who brought you Dolemite, and I thought, well, we're doing movie club, and this is Dolemite is considered the definitive blaxploitation movie. Some people call it the Citizen Kane of blaxploitation cinema. I don't even know really like what blaxploitation cinema is, or a lot of people I would say don't. They've just heard that term.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah, same here. That's me. I've heard of that, and I don't really.
And that's the thing is like I thought like blaxploitation, is that like exploiting black? Is this racist? Like I wasn't sure. I don't know. Like I just not. Educated in this. I had no idea. But after watching it, it's like, oh no, I don't think that's what this is. This is like a movie made by black people. I think that's all it seemed like to me. Like it seemed like it wasn't like exploiting anyone. But maybe I'm wrong.
I'm not an expert on blaxploitation films, but on the few that I've seen, like Dolemite, another one, Coffee, but it seems like movies made by and for the black community in the 70s, particularly when mainstream cinema was not representing them or giving roles to people of color. People made their own movies, and these were the movies we got. And so Dolemite is considered like the grade A example of this film genre.
Yeah.
And that is why we watched it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Overall, there are so many flaws with this movie, so many, that I couldn't write them all down. But I liked the movie. Like, I had a good time with it. but a lot of times I didn't know what was happening. So I don't know what that means.
That's what I was going to say. I don't know what if it was just me, but I could not follow this. I couldn't recite this back to you if you put a gun to my head. Right. It was fun to watch, but
Did you watch it with subtitles on or not?
No subtitles.
Watching it with subtitles will probably help because this movie is spoken in like jive talk and lingo and.
Well, not only that, there's times there's straight up no microphone. Like the mic's not plugged in.
That's what I was gonna say. For me, it was less the jargon and more just. Did you get the boom in this shot? Can you?
So, let's talk about that, and we'll get to a plot synopsis. But there really is not much of a plot to this movie, and so much to the point where nobody's even written a plot synopsis online. So we'll try to recap it from memory. But backstory on this movie: it stars and was created by a comedian named Rudy Ray Moore. Who in 1970 created the character of Dolemite, who is a loudmouth, rapping, kung fu badass pimp.
Before rap was even a thing, right? Like rap wasn't in the 70s. That wasn't really a thing.
It predates rap. Dolemite is considered the godfather of rap by a lot of people.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, because he's doing all these rhymes and stuff in this movie, those were my favorite parts in the whole movie. I didn't even consider where that would lead to.
Let's talk about the man who made Dolemite, Rudy Ray Moore, before we get in this movie.
Yeah.
Rudy Ray Moore grew up in Arkansas. He was a potato farmer, and when he was 15 years old, to win $5, he entered a talent contest doing song and dance, and he ended up winning the talent contest. He got his $5, and he thought, hey, I'm going to go into entertainment. And he became a musician, and he later became a comedian. He joined the military where he did stand-up comedy, but he was never really successful. Until 1970, when he created the character of Dolemite, and he started doing these things that he called toasts. The Dolemite toast is what he got famous for, and those are those rapping kind of speeches.
Okay.
He would get these stories from old men in the community. Sometimes he would buy them off the old men and memorize these raps, and then he would freshen them up, and he would release them as comedy albums.
From what I saw so far in Dolemite Is My Name, a lot of people who were down and out in the black community in this movie, at least, they were just doing this for each other, make each other laugh. And he heard that and was like, hey, I'm going to make this my show. So he'd pay them in booze and money, give me some of your things and I'll improve them and make them better.
Yeah, like most comedians, they find writers with the material and then they polish it and present it. But yeah, a lot of Rudy Ray Moore's comedy comes from the community he was born in. And when I was doing research, they said that he grew up playing this game called The Dozens, which is basically where we get your mama jokes from, where you just sit around and insult each other. You can Google search The Dozens, look up the Wikipedia page. There's a whole history on this insulting each other game. But yeah, a lot of his comedian friends were in this movie. So he got famous for doing these toasts. He released them as comedy albums starting in 1970, and he released 10 albums over the course of 5 years and saved up all his money so that he could make this Dolemite movie, taking his character from the records and putting it on screen.
His first record that he released is super raunchy, obviously. The cover, if you want to Google it, it's called Eat Out More Often, and it's him naked behind a couch with this naked lady in front of it. That, and then with a bar over it, it's rated XX for strictly mature audience. It's he did not shy away from making it oh, this is for adults, this is raunchy.
Yeah. He was the raunchiest dude ever. And you watch this movie, he's fucking raunchy. Dude, they're slitting people's throats. They're having BJs throughout this whole movie.
Yeah.
All that being said, Rudy Ray Moore was a well-standing member of his church, and he would take his mother personally to church every Sunday.
Oh.
And I found this quote that I wrote down that he said, where he was talking about the Dolemite character, and he says, quote, "I wasn't saying dirty words just to say them. It was a form of art. Sketches in which I developed ghetto characters who cursed. I don't want to be referred to as a dirty old man, rather a ghetto expressionist.
Huh.
So, you know what? When you watch this movie, it's a piece of shit. Honestly, the boom mic is in it all the time. The shots look like shit. The kung fu is choreographed fucking lazy.
The story is I mean, there's a story, but whoa.
Yeah, but Rudy Ray Moore, he is trying to create something here that is more than what he is. You know, this is a guy who considers himself a good Christian, playing Dolemite the Kung Fu Pimp.
Yeah. I'll also give them a little bit of a pass because they shot the movie in 17 days, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
17 days for $100,000, and it went on to make between $10 and $12 million, making this a massive, massive, massive hit when you consider how much was spent versus how much they made.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Before we get into it, last thing I want to say, probably my favorite piece of trivia about Dolemite and Rudy Ray Moore. This movie, this character Dolemite, is credited with creating the pronunciation of bitch known as biatch.
I was going to say, hearing that in this movie, it felt like finding like fossils or something. It felt like finding dinosaur bones, or it was like biatch. This early in film? You know
1975
what I mean?
Dolemite, this is the first instance of the word biatch on film.
Seriously, like when we saw some of the cinematography we saw on Night of the Hunter, we talked about, I remember thinking like, whoa, these shots are amazing for 1950 something. This must be where it started. Had the same effect in Dolemite here in biatch. I'm just like, whoa. I didn't, hear that again for decades, so that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. The last thing I'll say before we get into the plot, because there's not much to say about the plot. I was watching this movie. This movie's regarded as like a comedy classic. And it's like, I don't get what is so funny about this movie. It doesn't strike me as very funny now.
I mean, you could laugh at it, I guess,
But I think you have to take the context of 1975. Rudy Ray Moore was 48 years old when he made this movie. And it's like when we were watching Night of the Hunter and I had to point out, like, Robert Mitchum is really sexy and you may not know that.
Right.
In this one, maybe it's hard to perceive, but I think the joke is that Rudy Ray Moore is almost 50 years old. He's pretty fat and pudgy, and all these girls just want to have sex with him, and he's like undefeatable with his karate. I think that is the crux of the humor, and that's not immediately obvious watching it in 2020 because we've had so much time to absorb Dolemite and blaxploitation. Go back to 1975 and just think of like mainstream America, and a movie like Dolemite comes out. It was super fresh for the time. For its time. It's almost like Borat, right? If we go back and watch Borat now, it's like, that's actually not as funny as I used to think it was. But in 2006, super relevant, super funny.
And like, Derek, there's a part in this movie where like he's like crowded by these guys, like, hey, give him some money and he'll do it. And it's like, what is he gonna do? And then he starts doing his like rhyming, and that's like, oh, this is, I don't know what this is with no context. I have no idea. But now, seeing what you're saying and like the things I've seen so far of Dolemite Is My Name, it's like, oh, this is what he made his money off of, and he's known for this. So like this, if you're familiar with Dolemite, that makes sense.
Yeah.
If you're not, it's like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah, it would be like a comedy movie starring Snoop Dogg, and then in the middle of the movie, somebody's like, hey, can you sing a song for us? And he breaks into a really cool rap. But then 50 years later, you're like, I don't know who that guy was. Why did he sing a song in the middle of the movie?
Yeah.
All right, so let's try to break down the plot for Dolemite here. If you've never seen Dolemite, we're going to break it down for you. The movie starts in jail. Dolemite is already in jail for charges we don't know. He's called to a meeting with the warden where we are introduced to his protege known as Queen Bee. And she's informed the warden in the most fantastical plot point ever. She's explained that Dolemite was set up for his crimes. Right. And the warden believes her and is going to set Dolemite free.
But no one knows but 4 people that, I can't even tell you what happened. 4 people know that he's not, I don't know.
Here's what happened. We get a flashback where Dolemite comes from a neighborhood that is overrun with crime. his cousin was gunned down by a rival gang boss named Willie Green. And Willie Green set up Dolemite to go to jail. He planted drugs and stolen furs in his trunk. And there's this awesomely awful scene where Dolemite comes out of his house and some cops are just there and they go, open up the trunk. And Dolemite's like, nah, there's nothing in my trunk. And they force him to open it up. They find all this stolen goods. They pull guns on him. They're like, you're going to jail, Dolemite. And Dolemite just starts karate bashing him, like slapping him in the face,
so good.
Kicking him in the ass. He like throws one guy in the trunk. But eventually they like hit him and point guns in his face and they arrest him. Immediately, you just know that anybody who talks shit to Dolemite is going to get a karate chop to the face.
Yeah. Now, it's funny because at this point in the movie, I thought I knew what was going to happen. I kind of figured like, okay, so now Dolemite's going to get out and he's going to go find the guy who set him up, prove his innocence, the end. Yeah. I was wrong. I mean, maybe that's what he does, but not really.
That's basically what happens, Sean.
I guess, but like, not. It's a very like. He all of a sudden he has his club again, and that's like, well, I don't know. It's not the way I thought of it.
Yeah. Anything else to say? I'll keep going with the plot unless Rocky.
No. Yeah, keep going. I'm learning more and more.
Dolemite gets out of jail and is immediately picked up by his harem of prostitutes. Dolemite is surrounded by some of the hottest girls in Los Angeles, and they just find Dolemite so fucking sexy. And they immediately give him a fresh change of clothes to put on right outside of jail because he doesn't want to wear his jail clothes into his limo. So he's like getting naked outside the jail. All the guards are getting pissed off. All the prisoners are screaming. Great scene. He gets into his car, he's driving home, and immediately Willie Green's men are there to jump him. They start following him on the road. They have guns. Dolemite sees them coming, so he like gets out of the car with a machine gun. Willie Green pulls the car over. They're like, where's Dolemite? He jump attacks them. He guns them all down. In a super violent scene, the prostitutes like get out razors and like slit a dude's throat there on the road.
I honestly, Derek, I thought she cut his dick off because you hear a zipper sound. And then the slice. I'm like, did she cut his dick off? Like,
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Also, I forgot to mention that moments before this happened, these prostitutes were like having sex with Dolemite in the car.
In the car, yeah.
Very graphically. And at this point, I was thinking, like, I really wonder what Rocco and Sean are thinking about this movie right now. So that's basically the setup. Dolemite goes back to his old pimping headquarters where Queen Bee, his protege, has been running the place since he's been gone. And here's where we get the setup for the movie. Dolemite has been sent to jail, and while he's been away, a couple things have happened. One, his prostitutes became kung fu warriors. They all took karate class, and so all of Dolemite's prostitutes are an army of kung fu babes. Two, Dolemite used to own a club, but Willie Green took over the club because, you know, there was this story about how people were extorting the girls. They had to pay $5,000 to the cops every week. They had to pay money to Willie Green. They went into debt. They couldn't afford it. So Willie Green took the club, took Dolemite's club. So the girls are in debt for $50,000. Willie Green has the club, and they all know karate. That's the setup, and that's basically the movie. Dolemite goes on a bunch of adventures where a couple of cops harass him. A couple of white cops are always harassing him, and he kicks their ass. And we meet a couple of other kooky characters. But is there anything you guys want to say about the movie at this point?
My favorite, I have a couple of notes. My favorite guy, which I guess is a guy that is found on the street, was the guy buying the hamburger. Creeper, I think is what his name is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
They said they tried to... Oh, go ahead.
The character Creeper is one of Dolemite's friends from the street. He's another pimp who is like a heroin addict, basically. He's a drug addict, but he's also... They call him the hamburger pimp. I think he's like a really cheap pimp. He deals in affordable girls.
Yeah.
He's always like walking around with his eyes kind of, you know, he's on one, dude. This dude's strung out. Well, Creeper is an interesting character.
They just found that guy? Is that what happened?
Yeah, they couldn't find anyone to play that role. So they drove down the street and like pulled over and found that guy. Like, hey, can you be in this movie? I think I legitimately, like, this guy's acting is so good. Like, he may have actually been high when they filmed this. Like he was so good.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was a standout performance to me. I was like, where do they get this guy? So that would align.
As Creeper. I don't know if he was or not. I will say the director of the movie, Derville Martin, plays the antagonist Willie Green. He plays the villain.
Right.
In My Name is Dolemite that you're watching, Sean, Wesley Snipes plays this character. Derville Martin was an actor in Hollywood. He had bit roles in Rosemary's Baby, and he has a small speaking role in Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. So he had been like bopping around in the 60s in Hollywood before just changing pace completely, leaving the mainstream Hollywood system and just diving into these blaxploitation films, which are really like independent, off the grid films.
Right.
Yeah, so Derville Martin plays Willie Green. And I'm just going to kind of race through the rest of the
race through it. Yeah.
So Willie Green is working with the mayor. They all hate Dolemite. They all want to kill Dolemite. The mayor has these two cops who were personally like tracking down Dolemite, looking for him, trying to kill him. They go to a church in Dolemite's part of town. It's a part of town called the Fourth Ward. And there they meet a reverend who is preaching like race revolution. Until the cops walk in. The moment they walk in, he's like, oh, praise Jesus, like peace be upon all of us.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a gag, whatever. We meet this reverend who like keeps guns in the back of his church.
Right.
But they never come into play ever.
No.
Let's see here. So we meet this reverend. Dolemite goes to talk to Creeper to get some tips. I think Creeper tells Dolemite exactly who has been setting him up and who has been helping out Willie Green. And then at that moment, some assassins break in. They shoot Creeper on the spot. Dolemite kicks their asses, but is arrested for everybody in the room is killed except Dolemite, and some cops show up and they arrest him and charge him with all the murders. A reoccurring theme, Dolemite's always getting screwed over by the police.
Right.
Dolemite gets out of jail, goes back to his nightclub.
I love that he gets out on bail, and it's like for murdering 3 people. It's like he was in like local jail, like just like whatever, like a couple guys hanging out. It's like I mean, according to the cops, he has killed like 8 people, but okay.
Yeah, his long lost lover prostitute. I can't remember her name, Percy or Peppy.
Penny? I don't know.
Penny, something. She bails him out of jail. She has sex with him. Then Dolemite goes back to the club that he used to own. He kicks the ass of everybody there in the club. He claims his club back. Then he's going to put on a show that night. He puts on this big grand show where he's going to do a rap. It's like a big review. It's like Magic Mike all over again.
Yeah.
Willie Green comes to the show, and Willie Green attacks Dolemite at the show, and there's a big shootout. And this is the culmination of the final climactic battle of the movie is in this nightclub. There's a shootout between Willie Green's gang and Dolemite and his prostitutes. While this is going on, the mayor is having sex with one of Dolemite's prostitutes, a really high-ranking girl named Shy, short for Chicago.
Right.
She kills the mayor during that moment.
Well, she kills his wife. Does she kill the mayor? I think she kills the mayor.
She kills the mayor's wife, and then the mayor kills her. I forgot about that. You're right. So there's an attack on the mayor, and then Willie Green and Dolemite have a final face-off where Willie Green pulls a gun on Dolemite, but Dolemite cops a grip, literally grabs Willie Green and like rips his guts out. Yeah. Actually, kind of like grabs him by the chest and just grabs a handful of flesh and just pulls it out.
I thought we were going to see his heart. I thought he was going to pull his heart out.
Yeah, I think that's what they were going for, but they just couldn't pull it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and all of that is to say everything I've described, I've had to contextualize because this is all filmed very poorly.
Yeah.
The audio sucks. The choreography is garbage, and the acting is pretty bad. But Rudy Ray Moore as Dolemite is super entertaining to watch because you just never know what he's going to say or what he's going to do or who he's going to fuck at any moment.
It's very true.
That's what I was going to say. You know, I said I couldn't follow it. That's true. And I could go on and on about things that are like, you know, I couldn't connect to this. I didn't like the story wasn't there to me, whatever. But I kind of feel like there's some movies that don't, how do I say this? And I'm not even speaking only about this movie. There's a lot of movies to me that exist outside the space of, how do I word this? Traditional criticism, or I don't know if that's the proper way to say it, but I feel like it was kind of not about that. Like, this movie was made to deliver on, like, hey, what's the shit we want to see in a movie? Yeah. What do we, that no one's delivering on? Yo, we're gonna have these guys, and they're banging everyone. They're saying motherfucker every other scene. What I mean? It delivers on it. It's an attitude more than it like, oh, I'm sorry, you have a very poor script. It's kind of like
Ray
irrelevant.
Moore was asked like what the genesis of this idea was, basically, and I have a quote here. He said in the year 2000, he spoke about the movie Dolemite. Mm-hmm. He reflected on making it, and he said, black actors have always had to do roles that were unfavorable to us as a people. I picked a satire where we could enjoy ourselves, not be kicked in the ass. I reversed it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So he's on a movie where him and all his friends could, like, kick everybody's ass and, have fun doing it.
And that's what I mean. It's more about the attitude than the the dialogue could have been improved. But it's like, okay, I hear you, but it's really more of a vibe, and nothing in film was delivering on that at that time, and he fulfilled a spot that needed to, and I think that's cool. That was my takeaway from it.
Dolemite is very similar to Mega64. And I was watching Dolemite getting very inspired because I felt like this is the kind of movie we would make. And I was, when I was watching it, I was thinking, there's certain times in America, in the world actually, and I actually think Dolemite's poignant for 2020 because, with everything going on with COVID and everything shutting down, I think that movies are going to go back to this. When times are tough and when times are bad, you don't get these high budget studio movies that are sparkling. You get really nitty gritty on the street films. Yeah. After World War II, you saw all these movies coming out of Italy from like directors like Fellini and all of these German directors, noir movies. They were filmed in like crumbling buildings. They were filmed on the streets with real people. They didn't have large crews. It was just a handful of people with a camera. Dolemite is the same kind of movie. They filmed it on the street in 17 days. They had $100,000. They hired film students from UCLA. It was very run and gun, like amateur. Nobody knew what they were doing. Yeah. Just trying to capture an energy. I feel like Mega64, we kind of come from the same school of thought,
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Just making these like independent movies, kind of making it up as we go along. That's the kind of movie Dolemite is.
Yeah.
For better or worse.
And it's kind of a precursor too. 'Cause I don't want to spoil for anyone, but someday when our version 4 movie comes out, you'll see a lot of the imprint. I kind of fuck everyone really in that movie. If you, I don't want to give it away. But
I think we could take elements from Dolemite and work them into Mega64.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
I will say that there are a lot of fight scenes where there was just no music, and that was weird. But whenever there was music, I was always in.
The music in this movie is radical.
Yeah, once they used it, it's like, fuck yeah, this is awesome.
And again, the rhymes and stuff that he would do, if the movie would have been 2 hours of that, I would have been actually completely entertained. Like those are my favorite. Those are my favorite parts. I can't tell you why I enjoyed those parts so much.
And again, I'm looking at my notes right now, and it's like, okay, I like the hamburger pimp guy or the creeper guy. I like him.
Yeah.
And then it's like, no, what's happening below that? I still don't know what's happening. And then it ends with, I don't know what happened. So
that's pretty much how I felt.
But there are other things. Like, I do have a note. There is an award that I want to give to this movie. Yeah. I have never seen uglier facial hair in my life than the mayor's butler. The mayor's butler has just little patches of hair right below his nostrils, and that's it. And it's so foul. It's disgusting to look at.
Who was the sorry, I'm blanking on the characters and names and stuff, but who is the fat white guy and you see him like in a towel at one point?
That's the mayor.
That was the mayor. Duh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was a long scene of him being naked.
I was gonna say
pretty much saw his dick. Yeah.
That scene was mind blowing, and in fact, the precursor to the Matrix was that scene, because you get a near dick so many times. You don't see it, but his towel just falls at the right spot so many times as he's turning to get this, and then he turns around to see that, and he does that. So often it's like, oh, we're gonna see his dick. Oh, we don't. Oh, wait. Like there was. I don't know how they did that with no CGI. The towel is so.
We talk about a lot of things that they got wrong in this movie, but there's a lot of things that they got right in this movie. There's a lot of. This is a good movie. It's a campy movie. It's technically shitty.
Yeah.
But there's an artistic intent there.
Yeah.
That makes up for a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a definite artistic intent buried deep at the core of Dolemite. And that's why, despite the boom mic being in it and all the technical failings, people still bring up this movie. And Eddie Murphy was nominated for a Golden Globe for a movie about the making of this movie just last year.
Yeah, I did not know it was about the making of that movie. I didn't realize that. So I actually really want to see that now.
Hey, Rocco, I'm a half an hour in. I'm already going to tell you, like, watch this. Like, Jared,
okay.
too. Like,
I heard it from a lot of people.
Dolemite was followed by a sequel called The Human Tornado, and then a third movie called The Return of Dolemite, and then vaguely a fourth movie called Shaolin Dolemite.
Oh my God!
I've never heard of these.
And then in 2009, there was a movie called Black Dynamite, which was a loose parody of Dolemite that basically took the story of Dolemite and redid it with better kung fu and better.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
With what's his name? Michael Jai White? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I heard that was great. I never saw it.
Interesting.
But,
yeah, now I really want to see Black Dynamite and My Name is Dolemite.
Yeah.
From what I understand, in My Name is Dolemite, they take a lot of the scenes from the second movie, The Human Tornado, and put that in the movie. And that's the one thing they say, like, a lot of people remember the scenes from The Human Tornado as being in the first movie, and they weren't. But we just threw them in anyways because we knew the fans wanted to see that stuff.
I see. I will say, the movie is missing a lot. Like, character-wise, like, you know who people are, but like Queen Bee is like a major role.
Yeah.
And then she's killed. And that's it. They never mention her again. They don't really show her being dead. It says you see her being shot and that's it. It's like there was zero. It's like she might as well have been an extra in the movie. You see someone get gunned down and it's like, was that Queen Bee? And you never see her again. It's like, oh, I guess she's dead. I don't know. Like that was like, there are so many things that's so weird.
This is an action movie made by comedians, and it's their first movie. I just think they don't know how to tell a story, and they're just flying by the seat of their pants. That's why, again, so much of this movie reminded me of Mega64. Not the content, but the approach.
Mm.
Definitely.
Just trying her best.
Yeah.
But again, you're selling yourself short because the content, I do get my ass massaged in version 4. That bare ass massage. That was my favorite part of this movie.
Yeah.
I do have the lyrics to The Signifying Monkey, his toast at the end of the movie. I don't know if I should read a little bit of it, give people a taste.
Give them a taste. Let them know what they're missing if they haven't seen the movie.
What do you think, Rocco?
Sure.
This might go on for a while. Rocco said this was a favorite part. Okay. This is lyrics from what would be a song, a Dolemite toast. When Dolemite speaks in rhyme, this is what it's like. This one's called The Signifying Monkey. I'll do a little bit of it for people at home. Way down in the jungle deep, the badass lion stepped on the signifying monkey's feet. The monkey said, "Motherfucker, can't you see? Why you standing on my goddamn feet?" The lion said, "I ain't heard a word you said. Said if you say 3 more, I'll be stepping on your motherfucking head."
Oh.
Now the monkey lived in the jungle in an old oak tree, bullshitting the lion every day of the week. Well, every day before the sun go down, the lion would kick his ass all through the jungle town. But the monkey got wise and started using his wit. Said, I'm going to put a stop to this old ass-kicking shit. So he ran up on the lion the very next day, said, oh, Mr. Lion, there's a big bad motherfucker coming your way. And when you meet, it's going to be a goddamn scene. And wherever you meet, some ass is bound to be. I'm going to do a little bit more because this is...
Yeah, keep going.
Said, he's somebody that you don't know. He just broke loose from the Ringling Brothers show. Said, baby, he talked about your people in a hell of a way. He talked about your people till my hair turned gray. He said, your daddy's a freak and your mama's a whore. Said he spotted you running through the jungle, selling ass from door to door.
Oh, fuck.
Said your sister did the damnedest trick. She got down so low and sucked an earthworm's dick. He said he spotted your niece behind the tree, screwing a motherfucking flea.
Oh.
He said he saw your aunt sitting on the fence, giving a goddamn zebra the French.
Oh.
Then he talked about your mammy and your sister Lou. And he started talking about how good your grandma screwed. Said your sister's a prostitute, your brother's a punk. And said I'll be damned if you don't eat all the pussy you see every time you're drunk. And I'm just gonna end it there because this just goes on and on and on and on and on. And if you want the rest,
watch Dolemite.
Watch Dolemite.
Damn.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Wow.
Well, is there anything else you guys want to say about Dolemite?
I think Derek said it all, honestly.
I think he did. I think you said it all and then some.
I mean, sucking Earthworm's dick, man. Wow.
That was my favorite part of that those lyrics as well.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah. They definitely have highlighted it so far in the movie. Dolemite is my name. They've said Earthworm's dick at least 5 times already. So that is
they really?
They really have. Yep.
Oh, that's great. Oh, wow.
Yeah. Cool. Well, overall, want to do our shakers. Is it time to do some shaking?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
I will start because I recommended Dolemite. I give it 2 out of 5 popcorn shakers.
Yeah. I'm right on the line from 2 to 2.5 because, again, not well made, but I had a terrific time watching it. So I'm going to go 2.5. I thought it was I had fun. I had a good time watching it.
I'm going to say 1.5. It was fun. Again, I think this movie served a specific purpose for meeting a demand that was not there, and so I give it points for that. But it was what it was.
Right, and I feel weird because I feel like I'm I've given other movies 2.5 that are much better made, and I don't know if I'm judging it on the same category as I am those movies. This is its own thing to me.
I'm putting that on my personal scale, but I'm not. That's not saying at all that people shouldn't check it out.
Check it out.
It's a piece of film history.
The last thing I want to say is apparently this movie is a huge inspiration on Quentin Tarantino, and I think
I
you
can
can
see that. Yeah, I can see
definitely.
that.
I give it 2. I've seen a couple other blaxploitation films that I honestly thought were a little better than Dolemite. A little bit more interesting, a little bit more well-made. But Dolemite, the character himself, and Rudy Ray Moore is what it's all about.
Yeah.
And so just for him alone, that's worth the price of admission. It's available on Amazon Prime for free if you got it.
Yep.
So check it out if you're interested.
Cool.
Yeah, it's like HD restored on there. Like somebody restored it. It looks really nice.
Nice.
Yeah. All right, that ends this episode of Movie Club. Rocco, what are we going to be watching next time?
Okay, next episode, I'm gonna bring up a classic. We're gonna go. This movie might be. Some might argue maybe not made as well as Dolemite. Up for debate. But I'm gonna go with the Martin Scorsese classic. Gangster classic. You might be thinking, oh, here comes Goodfellas. No, I'm gonna the next episode, I want to watch Casino.
Oh.
Because I always hear Goodfellas get brought up in every film conversation, but I feel like Casino doesn't get brought up as much. And I think it's a very valid movie in Scorsese's film library. So
I've never seen it.
I saw it once a long time ago, and I want to see how it stacks up.
Okay. Cool. Casino it is.
All right. We'll see you next time on Movie Club.
Goodbye.